Arslan Hane was a Byzantine Eastern Orthodox church converted into a profane building by the Ottomans in Istanbul, Turkey. The church was dedicated to Christ of the Chalke, after the image of the Saviour framed above the main entrance of the nearby Chalke Gate. This building, whose name stems possibly from its doors are tiles made with bronze, was the monumental vestibule of the Great Palaces of Constantinople. The desecrated church, already heavily damaged by fire, was demolished in 1804. Location: the structure was located in Istanbul, in the district of Fatih, in the neighborhood of Sultanahmet, about 200 meters south of the Hagia Sophia, not far from the Column of Justinian and to the left of the Chalke Gate of the Great Palace. Both disappeared. History: Byzantine age. In the 10th century, Emperor Romanos Cplakidas erected near the Chalke chapel dedicated to Christ. Chalkites, the name of the image of Jesus that adorned the main entrance of the Chalke. This image, being one of the major religious symbols of the city, had great importance during the iconoclastic period. The shrine was so small that it could contain no more than 15 people. In 971, Emperor John I Zimisces enlarged the chapel, building a two-story church to celebrate his victory against the Kievan Rus, and endowed it with a 50-member clergy. The new building, which was erected in part using material from the nearby palace baths to Oikonomio, which was already in ruins, was lavishly decorated. John I was buried in the church's crypt in 976. In 1183, Andronicos Komnenos was proclaimed emperor here, in association with the young emperor Alexios II Komnenos, who was put to death immediately afterward. According to a Russian pilgrim, the church was still in use in the second quarter of the 15th century. Ottoman age. After the fall of Constantinople to the Ottomans in 1453, the hostel of the combat engineers was placed near the church, and the church was abandoned. Afterwards, like the nearby church of St. John at Dihippion, the ground floor of the building was used to house the wild animals intended for the court of the Sultan in the nearby Topkapi Palace. At the same time, the upper floor had its windows walled and was used to lodge the fresco painters and miniaturists active in the Sultan's palace. In 1741, a fire in the Hagia Sophia neighborhood damaged the building, as well as the nearby Haseki Haram Sultan Bar. In 1802 the upper floor caught fire, and in 1804 the building was demolished. There were numerous fires in the following years in the new edifices built on the site, until in 1846–48 the Swiss-Italian architect Gaspare Fossati built the main seat of the new Istanbul University on the same site. Description: about the first chapel, it is only known that two marble columns used for its construction were brought from Thessaloniki, a representation of the city belonging to the 1493 Nuremberg Chronicle, another of 1532 painted by Nasu al-Matrakchi, and an engraving in a geography book published in Venice in 1804 are the only three extant images of the church, although in the latter the building is represented as already in ruins. The edifice appears to be made of ashlar and brick, with a central plan and two stories surmounted by dome. The upper story was flanked by two half-domes and was preceded by terrace. Both stories were pierced by windows. Internally, the church was adorned with precious vases and icons, and lavishly decorated with paintings and mosaics. The remains of these, as well as of inscriptions in Greek, were still visible in the interior until the 18th century. John Zimisces endowed the church with several relics, among them the alleged sandals of Jesus and the hair of St. John the Baptist, and had his tomb, made of gold and enamel, built in the crypt.